Let's go to Scott Martin, a guy way ahead of his tender years when it comes to looking at markets, because he knows enough about September, young as he is, to know it's a problematic month. So far, it continues that theme. What do you make of what's going on?
Yes, as young as I am, Neil, I do know my months of the year, so that's very helpful when we look at old Mr. or Mrs., gender-neutral stock market here these days. That's the popular thing to say, I guess, is that there is seasonality involved in markets. Now, what's funny about statistics, I being a fan of statistics, Neil, and how we run our portfolios at Kingsview and in some of our ETFs, you can manipulate statistics. Some people say you can beat them to death, you can beat them to tell you what you want them to do, but the reality is you can change them around to say, hey, if you take out a month like the terrible attacks of September 11th, if you take out the crash of October 87, if you take out some of the things that were going on with the Gulf War volatility in the markets in 94, the months don't look that bad. But what I do like about looking at things maybe more on a concurrent basis today is that there was a little bit of maybe too much optimism there going into the fall here that basically, I guess, at least tribulated itself into now what we're seeing in the markets as far as some pullback, some reconciliation, some recognizing that markets did need to pull back some to get to a level to where buyers were going to come back in.
Do you worry about what's happening in China and that it could spread here? I know it's unique to China, $300 billion, vulnerable assets right now. Let's say it defaults on this payment due Thursday, that it could have reverberations here. I tried mightily, and you probably have as well, to look at any U.S. exposure here, and outside of a few, Western bond funds like those from BlackRock and PIMCO Pacific Investment Management and maybe Ashmore Group, I don't see that wide exposure. But maybe to the markets, if this thing went belly up, it doesn't matter. It would have a cascading or a domino effect. What do you think?
It would, and we're kind of lucky in the fact that China has shut out a lot of our banks from doing so much business over there, especially of late, so the exposure isn't as bad as it probably could be. Another thing that's funny about the exposure with China and kind of that systematic contagion effect, Neil, that we saw around the financial crisis is folks, and mainly on another network, thank goodness, have been saying that this is like 2008 again. Not even close. It's a lot more isolated. The Chinese government has a history of kind of manipulating and taking care of these companies within their country in weird ways with a lot of force and control. So I do think they're going to come in and do something to kind of save the bacon here, so to speak, even though I'm trying to cut out bacon of my diet, because the reality is that the damage that something like this, it's hard to do, that the reality of the damage of this that would expand into the markets just as far as general unease is probably not worth the lesson, let's say, that the People's Republic of China, if that's even what you want to call them, want to give the rest of the market or their own market. I don't think. Although President Xi, to your point about where China is, my goodness, man, I mean, these days, whenever he's speaking, whenever they're putting out what they're doing with some of the technology companies over there and certainly some of the things in Hong Kong, it's very worrisome what they're doing on maybe more of a grand basis of how they're handling a lot of the business matters and people in their country.
Yeah, and I think telling is the fact that China doesn't care if it hurts them and if it boomerangs on them. That's pretty bold if you think about it, because they're clearly taking it on the chin as a result of all of this. They don't give a damn. And that worries me.
Me too, and it worries the markets certainly, but I think overall the reality is that these buying opportunities that do occur, like days like yesterday when it looks like the market was going to be down over 1,000 points in the Dow, today we've bounced so far, and then everybody's like, well, just sell this. Take these opportunities to layer into positions that you like, because longer term, this too shall pass, just like the financial crisis did and just like the COVID freakout from 2020 did.
Yeah, I think Gilda Radner, a late great comedian, had about it. It's always something. Of course, you're too young.
That's right. I'm a big Gene Wilder fan, so I'm there with you, man.
Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you very much. I keep revealing my age, and you shouldn't. They say on TV you shouldn't do that. But all right, I'm going to take some milk and magnesia. I'll get right back to you right now. The Dow down up about 100.